Symbolically, light is truth. It is in the clear light that we're able to acknowledge what it is that is really going on, whether that's within ourselves or in the collective. But at least the moon and the light of the full moon becomes that much more personal. It is emotion, after all, that is said to be heightened under a full moon. And it is under a full moon that we get a chance to be honest with ourselves. Sometimes it is a matter that's been there all along. It's been staring us in the face, but we haven't been ready to acknowledge it until we were. And that's the kind of full moon we have this week. It is a full moon in Aquarius, which brings with it a wild card factor. It means that whatever realization comes on, it might really feel sudden, but it also holds the key to a newfound freedom for us. And again, this might be a deeply personal realization, but meaningful nonetheless. The thing that is fascinating about this particular full moon is that there's a lot going on around it. In fact, we have a huge activation of the Great Sextile, a key configuration that is helping to create a bridge between the world we started the 2020s with and the world we're likely to end the 2020s with. And we are in a time of transition that is moving us out of pure emotion and practicality and instead towards a hyper focus on mind and communication and interaction. And that is very strong with Mars changing signs, activating this larger configuration. And yet we get a full moon, and that full moon is essentially unaspected, meaning it's not speaking to any other of the big power players in the sky. And so what are we going to do with it? Well, we hold it that much closer. It becomes that much more personal. There is a realization that is set to be had for all of us in at least one area of life. And chances are there will be a ripping off a band-aid type of moment set to take place where we realize the truth of a situation and we realize what's got to change. And it has already changed within ourselves just as we identify it. But what does it count for outside of that particular area of life highlighted? Well, it is significant, but it is not likely to be one of these realizations that comes along because of what's happening outside of us, because of how we're triggered, because of our interactions with others, but rather it's been there all along in the ether. And now we're ready to embrace it. This energy is on its own erratic, emotional, and highly independent. And the fact that this full moon energy is so isolated does say that some of us, at least, are going to have the realization that our emotions are entirely our own. And that can actually be really empowering because then we get to decide what we're going to do with them. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of August 3rd, 2025. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. September programs are launching as we speak. This is so exciting. And yes, $5 a class for a limited time. We choose your tuition rate. However, there are even more early bird specials happening right now over at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links below. I know I've been reminding you for years now, every few weeks I say we are in a time of massive transition, and we really are. The world that we began the 2020s with will be a very different world that we end the 2020s with, and we are seeing it play out right now. The Great Sextile is a phenomenal energy because it represents that bridge from the old world into a whole new understanding of self, of humanity, and what we're focused on, what it is that we're changing, and the ways in which maybe things are changing that are enlightened and aware, and where they really might not be. It is this week that Mars steps into the sign of Libra, and in so doing makes the energy of the Great Sextile that much more a personal experience for more of us out there. Mars normally will change signs every month and a half or so. I mean, when Mars is retrograde, it kind of throws off the timeline. But for the most part, you get about a month and a half per sign over the course of a 2-year period. And it isn't so much about just where Mars is going, but also what Mars is leaving behind in terms of an energy. Mars will be exiting the energy of Virgo on Wednesday. And Virgo is an energy of looking at what actually is and honoring the day, the sacredness of the small moments as you move through life. Every life will have its high points, its celebrations, its moments where it feels like bliss or it feels like paradise, but that isn't where we actually live. We live in the small moments. We live in our routines as we get up every day and as we do those little things that bring some sense of order to our day and ultimately to our lives as well. And so there might have been a greater focus on that for more of us out there, but it is going to be Mars that moves into the sign of Libra. And the energy of Libra is fascinating. It is an energy usually thought of as relationships and partnerships, whether that's diplomatic relationships or more personal understandings of marriage, for example. Whenever it is that we have a big planet move to the sign of Libra, more of us are likely going to be considering what meaningful partnership looks like in our own lives. But Libra is also an energy of balance and of symmetry. And its symbolism of the scales is a symbol of justice as well. It was Socrates who conceptualized the difference between celestial Aphrodite and earthly Aphrodite. I think of earthly Aphrodite as very Taurian, very embodied energy about physical pleasure, but it is celestial Aphrodite that is very Libra. It is the higher beauty that we find in art, in architecture, and in each other. And so as Mars steps into air sign Libra, we'll immediately set up a larger configuration, a near Star of David, if you will. And what we get is grand trine and sextiles and oppositions, ultimately forming a profound geometric pattern in the sky. This is special, and it's special mainly because it helps us to understand our role, but also our own experience of the fact that we are in a time of transition. We are in a time that is moving us to a new understanding of humanity, but a different lived experience as well. Just earlier today, I was watching this CNBC business thing about AI and how more and more people are taking on relationships with AI and why they're doing that and how they do that. And I was even watching one video by Taylor Lorenz, and she was talking about how people are imbuing these God-like qualities onto artificial intelligence to the point where cults are popping up and people really feel like there's some divine spirit within that is showing up through their AI chatbot. For years now, the big outer planets have been moving through water or earth. Neptune in the sign of Pisces since 2012, Uranus in the sign of Taurus, an earth sign, since 2018, and Pluto in the sign of Capricorn since 2008. But Earth is a very practical energy of manifestation, and it can be very literal, very much oriented around materialism. Water is all about what we feel. It is emotion, and our feelings are our feelings, and therefore they are fact sometimes, especially where it came to Neptune in the sign of Pisces, no matter how far carried away we got with that. But now we have energies giving us a glimpse into what this whole new understanding of humanity is going to look like that much more a year from now, as we are getting a taste of Uranus in air sign Gemini, joining Pluto in Aquarius, that's now settling in as part of its larger 20-year transit. And it is Mars moving into air that's inviting us to consider this energy as well. Saturn and Neptune have dipped into fire sign Aries, an energy that is very much about the self. Air energy is mind, it's communication, and it's how we understand. And so much of what is taking place now has to do with a sense of focus on our own experience, our lived experience. And a lot of life with all this air energy is happening in our heads, is happening in our minds. This idea of looking at AI as something divine, well, look, we could consider just about everyone and everything reflective of divine energies at play. And yet, there's something profoundly isolating about this understanding as well. Whereas I would like to think that our connection to a higher power ultimately connects us to everyone and everything. It is to bring us out of isolation. These technologies, in their own way, are leading to a heightened isolation, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like we have a companion for the road. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? That's going to be about personal experience, but this is the world that we are co-creating together. And we are seeing more and more of us feel as if where we had resistance before, we realize that maybe we are going to allow ourselves a little bit of leeway, a little bit of room to start ultimately developing relationships with AI, even when we know all of its implications. I do think that the sky this week is showing us and is inviting us to really consider how much in mind and how much we are being connected, especially online, but also profoundly isolated, and what that might actually be doing to us. Years back, I saw this fascinating miniseries called Mrs.America. I loved it. I am a feminist, and it was all about the feminist movement, a key pivotal point of it, especially sort of in the late 70s and into the 80s. And it is fascinating to consider. It's based on real events, and you've got a lot of the big dogs in feminism of the time actually being highlighted there, being played by well-known actresses. And what is so interesting is this was the Pluto in Libra era. And Pluto in Libra was a time when we were looking at our relationships, but also the underbelly, if you will, the things that we don't want to acknowledge, the ways in which relationships can be a dance of power and powerlessness, and where sometimes certain alliances, certain relationships, they're just not fair. Fascinating to me is that Mars is stepping into the sign of Libra. Some conceptualize Mars as the lower vibration of Pluto. And so we might see a focus on relationships, but consider as well that Pluto is in Aquarius. And Pluto in Aquarius is showing us something about groupthink and thought police and where that might take us. There is a sense of the dark side of that understanding and how the resistance to that might be leading us towards what we think is more individual with our relationships with AI, but is it really, or is it just connecting us to a bigger machine? But these are trines and sextiles, which means that we are going along very willingly. It's not like there's resistance, at least not just yet. Next year, Chiron will step into Taurus, and then we'll have that placement start to square Pluto as well. And that just might be a huge saving grace of an energy, because it reminds us that we have bodies. It reminds us that we are incarnated for a reason, that the earthly experience is to be had on earth and not just in the mind. But we're not quite there just yet, at least for now. And especially with a week like this, we are very willing, with all the changes taking place, we are signing up for them, and enthusiastically so. Now, last week, Venus was the big player. This week, it's Mars. It is going to be Mars that will step into the sign of Libra on Wednesday, and very quickly will move into supremely harmonious connection with Uranus. I love this energy. In and of itself, it is one of surprise and delight and feeling like things could change really quickly in a way that feels very fortunate. It's quite the high of an energy, but it's immediately followed by the fact that on Saturday, Mars is going to stand across the sky from Saturn and Neptune. Now, Mars will stand across the sky from Saturn about once every 2 years, across the sky from Neptune about once every 2 years. When Mars stands across Saturn, that represents a sense of restriction, being held back, or at least realizing that we may need to not immediately react to some stimuli and instead be mindful to choose our responses. It is Mars opposite Neptune that can sometimes denote awareness around where we might be wasting energy or pouring a whole lot of energy where we really don't need to be. And it also could be an acknowledgement of some disappointment. Again, Mars is in the sign of Libra. This is about our relationships and how we're relating to each other. Now, it is Saturn and Neptune that will get together in the sky about once every 40 years. And that dance is taking place throughout this year and the first part of next year as well. And so it is so interesting. Mars is opposite both of these planets because they are so close together in the sky. And that makes these oppositions that much more rare. It means a blending of energy is taking place. And what this suggests to me is we might have that surprise, we might have that delight, but then we might have to see things in a more measured way. Or we might have to acknowledge our own fears and our own uncertainty. But even that is immediately followed up by Mars trine Pluto. Now that trine to Pluto actually dips into next week for the overwhelming majority of us out there. However, we will feel it before this week is out. Mars trine Pluto is focus. It is understanding what matters and dedicating ourselves fully towards the change we desire. And it's the ability to see what's going to facilitate transformation from the inside out. Understand, I'm talking about these as individual energies. And yes, some might experience this as a journey. But I think many of us are instead going to experience this energy kind of like a ping pong effect, if you will. It is speaking to the entire chart, the entire sky in its own way, because this is a larger configuration playing out. These planets are so close to each other. Next week, Saturn will be exact sextile Uranus. This is huge, and I'll talk about it when we get there, but this is such an important energy because it is this integration of an older understanding of Aquarian energy and a modern understanding of Aquarian energy. And whereas in 2021, 2022, we saw Saturn square Uranus, which was this thing about integrating the old world and where we're heading and how we feel about it. Now, this sextile is taking place in whole other elements, which means we're much more game. It is a harmonious aspect as well, which means we are feeling that much more inspired to make practical changes, but they are changes happening on levels of ideas that are facilitating some brand new beginnings that some of us might be resisting. And yet this larger configuration at play, it is saying that something bigger just might be playing out right now. And that bigger thing is the collective consciousness, the collective drive that we have to move forward and to understand something about our role, ourselves, and our freedom. It is said that on the level of mind, that is the only place that we are truly free. It is on the level of our thoughts and in that space inside of ourselves that we can think whatever it is that we want. Now, as soon as that comes out, as soon as we speak it, as soon as we write it, well, it becomes something else, but at least on a level of mind, there is freedom. And I think that that is part of what more of us might be realizing, not only because of this big harmonious configuration, but just the Aquarius full moon itself. The Aquarius full moon is saying, be free, even if it's only in your mind. but also be mindful of what you're sharing and where, perhaps even with whom, because that ultimately creates a relationship. And that relationship might be with artificial intelligence or with real people, but that's how relationships get going, is through the sharing, the communication. And also, that's also where we are sometimes, and especially now, it seems, held to account for whatever it is that we express out loud. And so, where's the contrast? Where do we stand with that? How do we feel about that? That is going to be a discussion that we are likely going to have on a collective scale. And we'll feel that discussion happening very obviously now. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. It is all about Mars this week, and Mars is moving into the sign of Libra. This is huge. In at least one area of life, all of us are being asked to find balance and find the right words and decide what we're going to say, what we are going to respond to, what stimuli is going to affect us, and where it is that perhaps we might want to be measured. Not just because it's the right thing, the responsible thing, the delayed gratification thing, but also that is what's going to allow us to hone in, to focus on where it is that we are actually going for power or for meaningful change. Ultimately, the change is within. If we want to positively affect the collective, well, it starts from within us. And at the same time, sometimes it can feel like the world is so big and we feel so powerless against it. And so, what do we owe each other? And what is it that we are going to do for each other, considering how connected we are? Well, I do think that this grand sextile energy, this near Star of David energy, is going to help us in this regard. It's going to help us to understand what we want to say and to whom, and what it is we want to express. But more importantly, perhaps we'll get to explore the why in the process, because the why helps us to set our intention, to ensure that whatever we express has the outcome we desire, which hopefully will be to unite more of us, to move more of us towards greater love and greater wisdom as well. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded exclusive video scopes each and every week for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. I am going to try to be a little succinct with the video this week because I am just a couple hours from heading to the airport. I'm super excited about that. But having said that, I do want to very quickly say thank you to you guys. A whole bunch of people have been signing up for my live event that's going to take place in downtown Toronto on the 26th of August. It's a Tuesday. It's an evening event, and I will be there with my dear friend Andy of Wise Ass Astrology, gearing up for the great Sextile. That's what we're looking at here, gearing up for the great Sextile. We will be doing presentations. There will be books. There will be swag bags. A whole bunch of tickets have already sold. I'm so grateful for you guys. We are all systems go, and I'm really looking forward to hugging you guys in person and meeting some of you in person as well in my hometown, and also that you get a chance to meet one of my dearest friends and we get to talk astrology and hang out. It'll be a lot of fun. So you can learn more about that event. You can sign up for the in-person version or the online version, and those links are over on my website, links below. Synchronicity University presents some absolutely incredible programs that are coming up, and they're starting in September. You have got about 4 weeks left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, and boy, do we have a very big season on offer. So I'm going to start with Nico, son of Celine, huge astrologer online, brilliant astrologer. Personally, I've had readings with him before I was friends with him, and it's just so exciting and such a privilege to have him at Synchronicity University now. And he's going to help you to understand tarot and astrology, and the way that he blends them is truly unique. And the way that he helps you to empower yourself through tarot and more is very special. You can learn more about his class and sign up now. Links below, or head over to synchronicityuniversity.com. Sarah, the Astro Auntie, is coming to Synchronicity University. This is super exciting. And she is going to be teaching a 5-week course on transits. This is super exciting. This class was just announced a few days ago, and already there's so much enthusiasm for it. And I'm looking forward to her program as well. She's got such a presence online. And even just in the way that she communicates, she is a brilliant teacher and someone to learn from where it comes to understanding transits and aspects and so much more. And you can learn a lot more about her class and sign up right now for as low as just $5 a class at synchronicityuniversity.com, links below. And my own class coming up at Synchronicity University, Past Lives Part 2. I know how much you loved the first part of past lives in the astrology chart. And it was students who said, we really want more past lives insights. And that's what this part 2 is going to do for us. So I hope that you will join me. It is a 5-week course. It is super exciting. You can learn a lot more about it, and you can sign up for it over at synchronicityuniversity.com. You can also, for a limited time, get an add-on with the first part of the past lives course that I recently taught for as low as just $5 a class as well. synchronicityuniversity.com, links below. Synchronicity University has an incredible speaker series coming up this September, and right now you can sign up for as low as just $5 a class. And these are all new speakers. You have not seen them at Synchronicity University before, I believe, but I'm super excited to celebrate them with you. Hannah Taruana is going to teach Juno in the chart. Alejandro Ruiz is going to be teaching on Islamic astrology techniques for prediction and understanding soul, and so much more. My dear friend Patricia Bell, Dr. Patricia Bell, is going to be teaching about past lives and mediumship and so much more. She's brilliant. She's an author. Now, Humaira Hyder is my personal favorite. I try not to play favorites, but she is my aunt. My other aunt, and this is going to be the first time you guys are going to get to know her. She's a numerologist, and that's what she's going to be bringing to Synchronicity University. And Shu Yap is going to teach a specific technique called Fidaria timing, and this is a predictive technique that can be very valuable to your astrological practice. So you can see here we have an incredible speaker series coming up. You can learn a whole lot more. Sign up now as low as just $5 a class at synchronicityuniversity.com, links below. And I will be at the Omega Institute in October, the first weekend of October, with the one and only Maurice Fernandez and Lynn Bell and Hannah that I mentioned earlier, and Ann Ortili. So it is going to be packed. Now, this is upstate New York, basically, or just outside New York City. And the Omega Institute is a place that I went to like 21 years earlier. I went there for a weekend program, and it was life-changing. My whole life changed after that, and it meant so much to me. And so now to be invited there, to have a chance to connect with people, to speak there, I think is just such a full circle moment. And my hope is that this experience facilitates the kind of deep transformation that I experienced after just spending a weekend there so many years ago. So you can learn a lot more about what's going to happen at the Omega Institute, Maurice's programs, Lynn, Anne, Hannah, me, what we'll be teaching. There's this whole goddess and raising vibration program that's going to be happening. I think it's going to be truly something special. I hope you will join us. Links below. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust. I'm so grateful for it. Stay tuned for short horoscopes coming up right now. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Symbolically, light is truth. It is in the clear light that we're able to acknowledge what it is that is really going on, whether that's within ourselves or in the collective. But at least the moon and the light of the full moon becomes that much more personal. It is emotion, after all, that is said to be heightened under a full moon. And it is under a full moon that we get a chance to be honest with ourselves. Sometimes it is a matter that's been there all along. It's been staring us in the face, but we haven't been ready to acknowledge it until we were. And that's the kind of full moon we have this week. It is a full moon in Aquarius, which brings with it a wild card factor. It means that whatever realization comes on, it might really feel sudden, but it also holds the key to a newfound freedom for us. And again, this might be a deeply personal realization, but meaningful nonetheless. The thing that is fascinating about this particular full moon is that there's a lot going on around it. In fact, we have a huge activation of the great sextile, a key configuration that is helping to create a bridge between the world we started the 2020s with and the world we're likely to end the 2020s with. And we are in a time of transition that is moving us out of pure emotion and practicality and instead towards a hyper focus on mind and communication and interaction. And that is very strong with Mars changing signs, activating this larger configuration. And yet we get a full moon, and that full moon is essentially unaspected, meaning it's not speaking to any other of the big power players in the sky. And so what are we going to do with it? Well, we hold it that much closer. It becomes that much more personal. There is a realization that is set to be had for all of us in at least one area of life. And chances are there will be a ripping off a band-aid type of moment set to take place where we realize the truth of a situation and we realize what's got to change. And it has already changed within ourselves just as we identify it. But what does it count for outside of that particular area of life highlighted? Well, it is significant, but it is not likely to be one of these realizations that comes along because of what's happening outside of us, because of how we're triggered, because of our interactions with others, but rather it's been there all along in the ether. And now we're ready to embrace it. This energy is on its own erratic, emotional, and highly independent. And the fact that this full moon energy is so isolated does say that some of us, at least, are going to have the realization that our emotions are entirely our own. And that can actually be really empowering because then we get to decide what we're going to do with them. Now, how this full moon speaks to you in your sign depends on your sun, moon, and rising. Take all three into consideration, synthesize the information to make it unique to you. And there are lots more horoscopes, including an expanded view for your sign about this full moon over on my YouTube channel, Nadiya_Shah, and over in the superstar space at thefutureismagical.com. Aries, friendships, group dynamics. This is where there might be a lot of emotion on the surface. There might even be some changes, but it seems to stay very compartmentalized. It's about what's happening with your friends. It's not necessarily affecting the rest of your life. And so keep that in mind if you're attending any social events and it feels like you're making important connections. Well, just take the event in and of itself. Enjoy the experience in and of itself because it'll be personally nurturing to you without having expectations that it needs to go beyond a given moment. Taurus, career, social standing, life purpose. This is all about ambition and it's deeply personal to you. That ambition might be career oriented. It might be an awakening of life purpose. That's a lot more likely because it is such an isolated and emotional energy here. So connect with that sense of purpose, that sense of knowing that there is a higher legacy, a destiny that you are aligning with, and it is unfolding as it should. Gemini, travel, higher education, legal matters, and your own beliefs, your spiritual, philosophical beliefs that help you to make sense of the world and guide your life. It is what you are feeling at this time that matters. And so chances are you're feeling very passionate about how you understand the world, and that's great. Hold it close. That's what this energy is about. It's about knowing and clarifying your ethics for yourself so that you ensure you're living with integrity. Incredibly valuable at this time for you. Cancer, profound change, truth, transformation, regeneration, and wealth, your relationship with financial institutions. Now, if any of this is coming into focus, it does suggest that it isn't necessarily that there's a matter that needs you paying attention to it. So it could be that this energy is working out personally in terms of your psychological well-being. You're having some key realizations and they're leading to a changed feeling within that's incredibly valuable as you get to a core of an issue. But if this is playing out financially in terms of a grant, loan, credit card, or benefits, I'm not necessarily seeing anything changing, just your understanding of wealth expanding in some way. And so connect to that spirit of wealth, whether it is financial, spiritual, or emotional. Leo, partnership, love, one-on-one alliances are going to come into focus here. Now, again, this is all about the feels. You're feeling a lot about where you've been in love. You're feeling a lot about the love that you have right now. Does that necessarily mean that it's affecting other areas of your life? I don't really think so. I think this is a lot about your experience in partnership, how you feel about where you are in love. And so this is your personal realization, your personal experience. There will be a time when you're ready to act on it. Just right now, allow yourself to be honest with you as you move forward. Virgo, clients, customers, coworkers, the work you're actually doing, but also how well you take care of you in terms of your health-related habits. The importance of how you live is going to feel on the surface. And how you take care of you is going to feel especially important to you now. And feel is the key word here. I think a part of you is going to be thinking that you should be and could be feeling a whole lot better. That'll have you connecting with that conviction within. And from there, you will figure out in the days, if not weeks ahead, how you're going to implement that, moving towards that sense of well-being you know you deserve. Libra, flirtation, romance, what the heart wants in every area of life. Now, there might be a flirtation that plays out right now, but I think that it's just going to be a moment and it's kind of isolated and it might bring happiness. It might bring an expansion of heart, but it isn't necessarily speaking to other areas of life. Now, that's true if you're using this energy for gambling. I'm not seeing windfalls that end up improving things in other areas of life, but this energy can be one where you enjoy yourself in a way that is deeply satisfying for you. Scorpio, home, the past, your living situation, your family of origin, and your parents in particular, where that applies. Yes, home is where the feels are right about now. And there might be a feeling that you want that comfort of home, that embrace of home. It might feel like it's calling you now. And so where it feels possible for you, connect with that feeling within. And I think that this is going to be an energy that illuminates your past in some way so that your own energy shifts and you're able to move forward of a key past experience. Sagittarius, siblings, cousins, neighbors, these people just might come into focus in powerful ways now, but it's more about how you feel about these people. It's not so much that something's happening with the relationship or something's happening for them, but rather you feeling connected to the love or the sweetness and lightness that you feel for them. You're having all of the feels right on the surface. And so nurture that. And if it feels right for you, express that in some way as well. Now, whether or not that means connection is one thing, but it'll be meaningful for you. Capricorn, money you earn, money you spend, self-love, self-esteem, all of that is covered here. And this can be notable energy in how it is that it helps you to uncover a deeper understanding of what prosperity is going to mean for you, what's worth doing for money, what isn't, and where it is that the alignment with prosperity is an emotional journey. It is an emotional vibration, and you just might have access to that vibration now. Aquarius, identity, who you know yourself to be, what matters to you most and first. I think this is so much about you and your identity for yourself, you being honest with yourself, you being true to yourself, and where it is you feel deeply connected to some truth of you, there'll be that much more emotion and that much more gratitude. So just allow yourself to feel all the feels. It's about what's happening near and dear to your heart. Yes, it's on the surface. Feelings aren't always comfortable to Aquarians, but this time it ends up being positively healing for you. Pisces, soul, psyche, spirit. What's happening on that level is going to be stirring for you now. The dream space is going to be lit. Lots of emotion there, waking up with a feeling of strong emotion right on the surface. Does that necessarily benefit other areas of life? Well, I think this is a lot more about energetic cleansing, allowing you to understand that you are preparing for a brand new chapter, and you truly are. It is going to be a month from now. You're going to have a full moon eclipse in your sign. Talk about change. Right now, the change is quiet and within. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.